Trey Nyoni, he seems to be the name on everybody's lips, especially this pre-season. He's been playing apparently really well. I haven't watched him myself, but I've seen a few clips, a few compilations, and quite a lot of people have been praising his performances throughout this pre-season. What do you guys think Liverpool should do with Trey Nyoni? Should they keep him throughout the season, make him, become an option, for Iraola, even when all the players are coming back from their World Cup break, or should Liverpool loan him out, or should they even sell him with a buyback clause? There's a lot to kind of unpack there. Let me know your thoughts, and we will talk about it in 2 seconds. So for me, listen, like I said, I haven't watched pre-season, so I'm gonna take the word of people that I respect, and some of the things that people have said, obviously, about Trey and how he's been, and potentially him being an option going into next season, which I think obviously is really good for him, right? Because I think he's a good player. I still don't really know what his position is. I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm still a little bit unsure as to what I see him as. Is he a deep line playmaker? Obviously, in the last game, should I say, that Liverpool played against Leeds, this was kind of his positioning. You can kind of see. So, I mean, yes, I guess in the pivot, you would say, or the pivot positions, alongside someone else. Potentially, he could play there. I feel like he can go further forward, though. I don't know what it is. I feel like in that position further forward, he seems to have a keen eye, in and around the edge of the box, and he seems to be comfortable in and around the edge of the box. But one thing you can say about him is he is really composed, as a player anyway. Good on the ball. He can get himself out of, tight situations, decent passer of the ball. He's got qualities. He's got qualities. So I like Trey. I've got no real issues with him. But I think it's just about really, what do you do with a player like this? It's always tricky, because you want to make the right move, and you want to benefit yourself more than anything else, right? And his quality, I don't think that's really up for debate. I don't think I'm sitting here, and I don't think it's going to be wild of me to say, like, nah, he is like a quality, like, young player, right? Not his style of play, I guess, isn't so in your face like a Rio Engamoa. He's an attacker. He's someone who, through trickery and potentially skills, dribbling ability, all that kind of stuff, he's going to show you. But I think the way that a Trey plays is a lot more, for me, a lot more composed, pleasing on the eye. He looks calmer. It doesn't look so, kind of rushed, how I feel maybe like a Rio is, where everything, because of maybe the position that you play and the onus on you to be the creator, the goal scorer, and all these kind of various different things, there's a different kind of pressure placed upon you. Not saying that one position's harder than the other. I'll let other people debate that themselves, because midfield to me is a tough position to play in. If you ain't got the right players, in and around you, it can be a little bit tougher. And I think especially for young players, I always find that unless they've got like a real physical attribute, like when you look at maybe like a Miles Lewis Skelly, someone who's incredibly strong, a very strong runner of the ball, as well as having good ball control. He can read the game pretty well, intercepts pretty decently. He can get himself into the right positions at the right time. And again, he still has his faults. You can see it, like it's a difficult position. It's a difficult position, and I think it's all going to come down to the style of play that Iraola is going to try and enforce, obviously, on the team heading into the season. And I think that's going to play a major part, because I guess technically speaking, with the way that I feel like Trey plays, let's say Trey plays in that position, as one of the two midfielders, behind number 10 in front of the defense. Physically, no, I don't think he's there. Obviously, he's only 18. But not to say that's necessarily an excuse, but again, I'll give you that as a caveat kind of thing. I feel like his game is more centered around being on the ball and almost releasing the pressure from everybody else, you know, helping the game just tick on by, you know. I almost want to say controlling the tempo of a game, but maybe I might not go that far. But what I do think he is that he's cool, calm, and composed on the ball anyway, you know, so, and off the ball, you know, he seems to be smart enough to really understand where he needs to be at the right moments and things like that. So, yeah, you can, putting him in those kind of positions, again, alongside someone else, I think probably would be fine. But again, Liverpool have loads of midfielders. You know, we already know you got Jones, you got Mac Allister, Szoboszlai, Gravenberch. Heck, if you're still counting Endos, the Elliots, and, you know, of this kind of world. Forget what we think as fans in terms of where we rank these players and where we put them, right? Because we'll just be doing our head in at this point, right? I'm more talking about when you look at it, I guess, logically, right? In terms of hierarchy, in terms of performance, in terms of, you know, who they are at the football club and stuff like that. This is where I look at Trey, and I think it'll probably take a lot of movement, because he's not in a position where, like Rio, for example, he only has one man to really battle with, and that man is obviously going to be Cody Gakpo, right? Now, also on top of that, you can play in another position. This isn't really the same as like defensive midfield, and attacking midfield is kind of all similar in terms of where you are necessarily on the pitch. Whereas left and right, we can change that around. Do you get what I'm trying to say? Obviously, different impacts, of course, like with any other position. But I just think that when you've got midfield, I can't even say three. I don't know what people class like at number 10. Is that a midfielder position, or is that a forward position? I don't really know. You can decide for yourselves. But I just think that you're really just looking at two midfield spaces. Now, I'm going to say Szoboszlai is probably going to fill one of those. Are we saying that Trey's going to go ahead and, you know, in ahead of a Gravenberch? Again, if he performs, I'm all about, yeah, all of that stuff sounds nice in theory, right? Everyone's like, yeah, if you perform, you deserve to play. I hear all of that. But you've then got to remember, these are the same people that a lot of you have said, no, this player is a good player. And also, they've, I guess, in some way, shape, or form, shown something about them. Everyone would say that, you know, Szoboszlai was Liverpool's best midfielder last season. The season before that, when Liverpool won the league, people would have said that Gravenberch was Liverpool's best midfielder. The season before that, people were saying that Mac Allister was Liverpool's best midfielder in Klopp's last season. So again, all three midfielders have had something about them in regards to them warranting a place. Has Trey done I was going to ask, has he done enough during preseason? Of course not. I've not even watched it. No player is going to do that much more in preseason where you're like, oh my God, he got to start in front of these guys. I don't feel like that's how it realistically kind of works, right? And that's not to downplay what he has or hasn't done. It's just more, I've never ever seen that before in that kind of way, you know, in terms of obviously if there's an injury, obviously if players are coming back, that is different. But in terms of just, what I say, overall quality and stuff like that, I don't know if he's there yet. So then that obviously then leads me to then ask, like, what do we do with it? Do you know what I'm saying? Like, what do you do with a Trey? For me, I only have two options. I don't keep him because I just don't think that serves any real purpose, unless someone like Iraola is then going to say, you know what, I'm going to rotate this quite a lot, and it's going to be done a bit differently than maybe it was beforehand. Even I don't think he would do that, because I feel that once he's got a settled team, most teams will, I guess, kind of have that, right? You will have a few positions that swap, but midfield might be an area where you may potentially just kind of keep that, you know, relatively the same, especially if it's because it's like the hub, you know, of the team. So if I'm not going to keep him, I've only got two other options: sell or loan. They're both the same thing. To me, it's kind of the same. You've basically done that with Jarell Kwanzaa in terms of selling him, but you've got the buyback clause. I would actually do the same thing. I think Liverpool need to do that a lot more, to be honest with you. I'm really not, again, I know people hate it and they're like, why would you sell when you can just loan and you can do this and you can do that? I'm like, yeah, I hear all of that. And again, I'm not saying that a loan isn't necessarily going to work. It all depends on where do you kind of see this player? Where do you then see Liverpool potentially being? Obviously, can't predict the future, but I guess clubs they try to predict as much as best as they possibly can. And I think with Trey, I'm like, he's still quite young. Was he 17, 18 years of age? I mean, I'm not going to sit here and say he's moving. He's not at the level where I'm like, yo, a young 18, 17-year-old Trey, yo, he's looking like he should be he should be starting games and he should be the main one on the. I don't really feel that with Trey. As good as I think he is, and again, I'm not dismissing anything he's done during preseason. I'll let you guys squabble over that stuff. I don't actually care. it's not really going to change my mind or in my thinking. For me, this is the perfect time to let him go and play some football. Let's just go with a loan, for example. Go and play some football week in, week out. Heck, Coventry, I don't know if Coventry are looking or whoever kind of thing that, Ipswich, whoever's kind of come out, Hull, like go there, play some football. Let's see what you like week in, week out. Let's see what you like, because you've had, from what people have described, a good preseason. So if you had a good preseason, let's keep that momentum going. Do you get what I'm trying to say? Like, it's not like he went away for the World Cup and he's tired. No, he seems like he's ready to go, kind of thing. So for me, I'm looking at that thinking, oh, that's brilliant. Like, I would love to see you play week in, week out. I would love to see what you do in certain moments, in certain types of teams. Yes, obviously, of course, you go to a rubbish team, you get spanked every single week. It may probably not really help, but it's just one of those kind of things. I just think playing more is a lot better. I get people always say, but loan. And I'm not saying that loans do not work in general. I feel like for Liverpool, they don't seem to work. I don't really feel like that's a thing. But in general, they do work. I've seen players go on loan, do a madness on loan, come back, and they're able to just kind of continue on and stuff like that. But I'm also saying, don't then rule out also, you can do the buyback stuff. You can do a buyback, because I feel like with a buyback clause, it gives a player a lot more clarity than a loan. I feel like a loan is always like, boy, if the team does this, they might move in this direction and then this, whatever. At least with you being sold, so to speak, to another club. Yes, you got the buyback, but let's just say you are sold like a Jarell Quansah. There's no, I'm still going to have a career. It doesn't matter. Like, obviously, selfishly, you want Liverpool to do well, of course. But I'm just, me, I'm always about the player. I don't really care about the clubs like that. I'll be super honest with you. I'm always trying to think what could be the best move for a player. And I look at it and someone like Trey in this position with all the midfielders in front of you, even if Liverpool do let go of some midfielders, I'm pretty sure they're going to want to sign a better midfielder than you. And that's not to to dismiss or to disrespect you, or to disrespect, I say you, but disrespect Trey, because I still think Trey's a really good player. I just want to see him play a lot more football. And I think he's actually ready to play football. I think he's actually ready for first team football at some type of level. I don't know what that level is, because we haven't actually seen him do anything consistently, but we've seen enough glimpses to know that, hey, he's probably ready. Is that going to be at Liverpool? If it's going to be at Liverpool, then this is a moot point. This video was a waste of my time, waste of your time for watching. If it's not going to be there, I'd rather see you go. I'd just rather see you go, man. I want to see you play some football. Liverpool can sell you. That's calm. Come back in 2-3 years. Once you've developed into an absolutely fantastic player, someone who's playing at a really, really high level in your own performances, buying you back, I don't really see, that's not really a big deal for me. If you can facilitate a loan for 3 years or whatever it is, then great. Like, then just do that. Do you get what I'm trying to say? But I'm pretty sure you can't. So I'm like, yeah, this might be a good way to potentially make some money, on a young, talented individual. If it works out, cool. If it doesn't work out, we've made some money. We can move on. We might be in a completely different space in 2 to 3 years' time. A bit like with the Jarell Quansah situation, kind of thing. You didn't know Liverpool going to be in this situation where now you're crying for a centre back, you're crying for a right back, you're crying for a guy who can play in 2 positions. Do you get what I'm trying to say? Like, again, but he had to develop though. He may not have had these amount of minutes, which would have allowed him to go to the England, World Cup camp. These kind of things you never really and truly know. And I just think with someone like Trey, I would love for him to take the same path as a Jarell Quansah. That's what I would like to see. And I think he'd be a better player for it. Whatever happens to Liverpool, I'm not really that fussed, to be honest with you. I'm more concerned with what the player's going to do, how well they are going to do, because guess what? If he does really well, you've still got the buyback. So instead of you now going to have to spend hundreds of millions trying to find another midfielder because the ones you do have are clearly not good enough, you've got that one right there, and he's been playing football, and you've not had to worry about his own development in a sense of, oh, should we play him in these games? And Liverpool, high stake matches, and if you make a mistake, it could be it's more peak. Because listen, Jarell Quansah makes a mistake for Liverpool against Manchester United. It's a lot bigger than him making a mistake for Bayern Leverkusen against whoever. Even, you know what I'm saying, like Dusseldorf, you know what I mean? Like, it doesn't matter. No one cares. I promise you, nobody cares. Because the stakes are so much more different. You've got less pressure. There's still pressure, of course. These are not shitty clubs. I'm definitely not trying to say that. What I'm saying is that the pressure that you're facing over a team, say in Jarell Quansah's case, at like Bayern Leverkusen in comparison to Liverpool, I promise you, Liverpool player makes a mistake against Burnley, against Hull. I promise you, it blows up a lot more than it does if he makes a mistake in a Bayern Leverkusen DFB Pokal Cup game. I don't think no one cares. I'm just gonna keep it about not disrespecting the Bundesliga. That's just the way it is. That's just the factual way it is of how football is. So for me, I'm like, listen, I'd rather you go and do that. I'd rather you go over there and just play your game away from the spotlight, away from every like England is it's like parasites over here. Can't really, you know what I'm saying? These young players, I feel like some more need to start going abroad and playing their football. Then you can come back. Again, if you can do the loan thing for 2 years, great, then just do that. Like I'm not against either one, but I do think people, when they hear, oh, sell, why would you sell when you do that? I'm like, yeah, it's because you don't understand clearly. Do you get what I'm saying? Like clubs do that quite a lot. Well, a few clubs do that, should I say, quite a bit for a reason. Madrid have been notorious to know to do stuff like that, because then you're getting back a better player, and I didn't even have to worry about your development. Let someone else do the development. Let someone else pattern all of that. Because in a couple of years' time, when the guy we do have in your position is now declining or is not at the level required, you're there. I don't need to look for nobody else. I've got a Morata there. Yes, Morata's not great, but you know what I mean? I've got a player there. I can just come in and pattern up, and then Bob's your uncle, Fanny's your aunt. Do you get what I'm saying? So I would like to do that with a Trey Nyoni. I would love to know what your thoughts are in regards to him. Would you like to see what? Let me not ask what you guys would like, because I feel like I know the answer already. Tell me, what do you think realistically is going to happen with Trey? What do you think is going to happen? Do you think if he stays, do you think he's going to get that much game time? I.e., is he going to develop that much if he stays, or do you think he needs to go on loan, be sold, buy back, whatever you guys want him to do? Let me know in the comment section. I'd love to hear people's thoughts on this. I'll catch you guys soon with the next one. Peace.